On my birthday, 2 childhood friends planned a surprise for me. They locked me in a private theater booth to witness their confession to another guy. To win him over, they trashed me, calling me shameless and a wannabe gold digger. They said I was clinging to them because I was an orphan looking for lifelong care, a burden they couldn't stand. Now they were only into him and I made them sick. I was shattered, staring at the text messages floating in front of me. Just thinking about Billy freaking out later made me laugh. What if we make him beg us not to leave? Will he? I'd love to see them fight. It hit me the texts were their private chats. Turns out we were just their playthings. But does that even mean we are the only puppets here? Realizing that, I was dumbfounded. So it was all deliberate? I peered through the small window of the booth. There were gifts for Henry on the seats in front. Every item was expensive. It was my birthday, and early that morning, Shirley told me they had a surprise for me, and I should dress nicely for the evening. But after all the dressing up, they locked me in that booth to see them confess to Henry. As I was lost in thought, I heard my name mentioned. Henry began hesitantly, "Why are you confessing to me? Aren't you too into Billy?" Shirley dropped her carefree act and seriously replied, "He's just an orphan clinging to us for love. He thinks we could take care of him for life, but frankly, we despise him." Alice chimed in, "Right now, we only like you. Billy? He's just a stray living in my house." It felt like a freezing pit closed around me. My hand instinctively reached for the doorknob, but the texts that popped up held me in place. Why isn't Billy reacting? Did he faint from crying? You didn't lock the door, did you? No way, I was careful. Should I go check? Just bring him out. As the texts disappeared, Shirley put her phone away and walked over. Seeing her anticipation, I felt a flood of emotions rise and spread out, disappearing like sea foam. She stopped in her tracks when our eyes met, surprised by my calmness. "Billy, you?" she asked, pressing her lips together. Her face showed confusion at my lack of breakdown. "How are you feeling?" I met her gaze and calmly said, "Thanks for the surprise you both prepared." Shirley fell silent, running a hand through her hair, just as Alice called out from behind, "Shirley, why is it taking so long? Is Billy throwing a fit?" She pulled Henry over. She looked at me with the same surprise as Shirley. But Alice was quicker-minded. She pulled Henry closer and said coldly, "We pitied you as an orphan, treating you like a brother, but now we have someone we like. I hope you won't cling." Their eyes were filled with expectation. I took a deep breath, my parents' post-car crash promises coming back to me. They'd take care of me, protect me. At that time, their eyes were full of sincere affection. Now, they were pulling me into this meticulously planned cruel game. I steadied my breath and looked them in the eye. "All right, I won't cling." They seemed stunned by my calmness, confidence fading from their expressions. Shirley looked bewildered. "Don't you have anything to say?" "What do you want me to say?" I asked. Shirley was momentarily speechless, her face turning sour. Alice, cold-faced, said, "Since you're so understanding, then return the bracelet we gave you." I instinctively touched the black jade bracelet on my left wrist. The coolness reminded me of when I first came to live with the Brooks, stepping cautiously without a sense of belonging. Seeing my struggle, Alice and Shirley went out of their way to get me a blessed bracelet from a temple. Alice gave it to me, saying it represented their love and that we'd always be family. Carefully, I've cherished it for 16 years, rarely taking it out, afraid of breaking it. I wore it today for my birthday. Now she wanted it back. It dawned on me then. The girls who promised lifelong protection had truly vanished. Impatience getting the best of Shirley, she went to snatch it. Her grip was fierce, and it hurt. Reflexively, I pulled back. Angry, she tossed me aside. I lost balance, tumbling down the steps, hitting the floor hard, blood soon oozing from my forehead. Henry, startled, moved to help, but Alice held him back, her foot crushing my left hand. The bracelet shattered. "You love it so much?" "Keep it," she said coldly, leaving with Henry. Shirley followed, disdainfully saying, "Orphan trash." Lying there, I forced a smile, tears falling one by one. After recovering, I carefully gathered the broken pieces, called a cab, and went to the hospital. Once bandaged, I returned home. As I approached my door, more text messages floated into view. Shirley asked Alice, "Billy seemed pretty hurt just now. Did we go too far? If we didn't push him, how else could we see how he reacts when cornered?" I gave a bitter smile. As I pushed the door open, I locked eyes with Henry. He was holding a dish he made and called out hesitantly, "Billy." Just then, Alice and Shirley came downstairs. Neither gave me a glance, but they sweetly said to Henry, "Thanks, Henry, for making us this feast. Your cooking must be delicious." Henry blushed and smiled shyly, then turned to me. "Billy, wash your hands and come eat." I glanced at the table full of seafood. I politely declined, "Thanks, but I'm not hungry. You guys go ahead." Alice's face dropped. "What, after 16 years of the brook taking care of you, you can't even join us for dinner?" Shirley was more direct, snapping, "Billy, don't be ungrateful." I looked at the huge plate of seafood in front of me. Tears welled up in my eyes. "Will eating this erase the debt of your past kindness?" Shirley frowned and slammed the table. "A meal to repay 16 years? Billy, you've got some nerve." Alice pulled her back and then turned to me, speaking quietly. "Fine, as long as you don't ruin Henry's mood today. The slate is clean for all our past support." I nodded, sat silently, and started eating the seafood bit by bit. Pretty soon, I felt my skin burning and itching. Breathing became difficult. Noticing I wasn't doing well, Henry started crying and anxiously told Alice and Shirley, "Get Billy to the hospital. I don't want a death on my conscience." I tried to smile reassuringly at him, but the next second, everything went black, and I passed out. When I came to, I was in a hospital room, the faint smell of antiseptic surrounding me. As soon as I opened my eyes, the dreaded thoughts resurfaced. "Alice, why provoke Billy when Henry is too gentle to even try?" I investigated him. I was curious how he would change when exposed to high society living. Billy was always well behaved and pampered by us. Would he go crazy when he felt his place was threatened? Sudden heartache struck me. So, their sudden change was just to see if I'd go off the rails, losing my stable life. I guess I never truly understood them. Lost in thought, Alice and Shirley walked in, standing above me by the bed. "You really are weak. Henry surpasses you in every way." I didn't argue. Shirley tossed a set of keys on my bed. "Henry will stay with us. Move out of your room and into the guest room or the place we found for you." I clenched my fists, emotions overwhelming me. When I moved out of the Brooks' old house, they had a designer create my dream room. I remembered them saying that it was my forever home and refuge. I believed them until now. They've shattered my faith. "Okay, I'll move out," I said, my voice rough like an old phonograph. Alice met my gaze, her eyes icy and deep as a frozen lake. "Are you sure?" I nodded. Annoyed, Alice dragged Shirley to leave, slamming the door. The glass shattered with the deafening sound, and tears fell from my eyes. I saw those thoughts again. Shirley is getting agitated. Our plan isn't working. Billy hasn't even reacted enough to cause drama. Alice remained coolly detached. "We'll up the stakes. No way are we letting this plan fall through." After finally finding entertainment, my heart raced. I waited for their next move, but the thoughts vanished. For days I was on edge, but nothing happened until my discharge. A call from work came, urgency in their tone. "Billy, come to the office. Alice gave your perfume formula to some guy named Henry." I froze. So that was their big move. At the office, Alice and Shirley sat at the head of the conference table, with Henry awkwardly beside them. I was pale. "Why? You know that formula is the only thing my mom left me. I spent so long perfecting it." Alice cut me off, her voice eerily calm. "Billy, you've been pampered by us your whole life. As an orphan, we've never let you suffer like Henry has." Shirley's voice dripped with sarcasm. "Without our support, you wouldn't have developed the formula. We invested so much money. Of course, we control the formula's fate." She shoved a transfer contract at me. "Sign it." I started trembling. "And if I don't?" That's my life's work. Every detail was painstakingly refined after thousands of trials. How can you just take it from me? Alice's eyes suddenly turned cold. She tapped her fingers on the table, making it clear I had no choice but to comply. With that, the conference room door swung open. 2 security guards came in quickly and held my arms. Hold him down and make him sign, Alice ordered. I struggled wildly, but it was no use. They pinned me to the table, and in the chaos, a pen's point cut my face, a warm line of blood trickling down immediately. You can forget it. I'll never sign, I yelled, biting my lip until tears finally flowed. Shirley sneered and shoved the pen into my hand. Stop fighting. Just sign already. I gripped the pen tightly, my nails digging into my palm, over my dead body. Alice sighed and signaled to the guards. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my right hand. If you won't behave, we'll ruin your hand, and that will end your research. Enough, Henry suddenly shouted. Alice, Shirley, please stop putting Billy through this. I don't need the formula. His voice was shaking, showing how much courage it took to speak those words. Alice turned to him, her expression softening. She gently wiped the tears from his face. Don't cry, Henry. Shirley and I will give you a home and protect you, so no one bullies you again. Henry went pale, biting his lip, speechless. I clenched my teeth against the pain and looked at them. Are you really going to do this to me for Henry's sake? Hearing this, Alice and Shirley's eyes filled with anticipation and a hidden thrill. Billy, Alice sighed, we don't want to be harsh with you, but Henry needs our care more. Yeah, Henry's situation breaks my heart, Shirley chimed in, making me silent. After a while, I turned to Henry, my eyes gradually reddening. Seeing this, Alice and Shirley's anticipation and excitement grew. I let out a small laugh, pointing to the tiny camera on me. Want to fight back with me? Alice's eyes widened when she noticed the camera. Shirley's anger flared. Billy, you're broadcasting this? Freed from the guards, I pulled out my phone, showing the live stream page. What, you want to hit me? Go ahead. See if the viewers won't make you the news headlines today or tomorrow. The number of people in the live stream quickly climbed, and comments constantly scrolled, insulting Alice and Shirley. They look so scary, like evil rich girls. Their attitude is gross, trying to make 2 guys fight over them. Shirley lost it, smashing my phone to the floor, the screen shattering. Billy, why are you live streaming? Don't you understand that today's stream could ruin Alice and me? She was fuming, kicking the table hard enough to make a loud noise. Henry jumped in front of me, startled. I froze for a moment. He turned back to me, pale-faced but smiling. Billy, I'm with you against them. Amused and touched, I felt a bit of relief. He never had a good family. He never experienced sincere, unconditional love. Now, he was just a guy fighting to change his life. Even so, with all the reluctance, he never dared to fight back, only went along with their whims against me. I thought it'd take time to persuade him. I didn't expect him to stand in front of me now. Alice and Shirley weren't worthy of him. With this thought, I pulled him to my side, turning cold eyes to the 2 angry women. Why so mad? I stared at them. Is it because we didn't hate each other and get into a bloody conflict like you planned? Shirley's face tensed as she looked at me, unsure. Alice was calmer, just watching us. I didn't care about their scrutiny. With a slight smirk, I told them, worrying about your nasty plans isn't what you should be upset about now. I turned to Alice, think about how to save your company. Then to Shirley, you should consider how to keep your heir status. And with that, I left with Henry. By the time my wound was bandaged, the whole incident was trending. Both companies' reputations nosedived. Countless people criticized and boycotted them. Shareholders demanded a swift response to the situation. When chaos ensued, I leaked their chat records online. I easily found Shirley's encrypted files on her computer, containing secrets. It wasn't their first time playing this game. Long ago, they targeted ordinary but talented and good-looking guys, making them lose themselves under intentional seduction, desperate for their love. They recorded confessions and heartbreak, keeping them as trophies in encrypted files. With no one else to target, they set their sights on me. Tough luck. I wasn't going to fall apart at their feet. I kicked them into a nightmare. In a downtown rooftop garden restaurant, Henry was a bit drunk, cradling a bottle and looking at the night. Softly, he asked Billy, "What's our next move?" He seemed lost. "Their families are so much better off than ours. Can we really win?" I guided the online narrative, reassuringly patting him, "The winners will be us. Besides, since I said I'd fight back, how could I have only one plan? And how could I just start preparing now?" Henry's eyes widened at that. "What do you mean, Billy?" He raised his voice a little. "Did you see this coming?" I didn't deny it. From a long time ago, I knew very well about Alice's possessiveness over me. As for Shirley, she does like me, but she doesn't dare to compete with Alice. Because her family has a lot of business relying on the brook. So she just follows Alice's lead. Alice allows Shirley to openly like me only because she's confident about herself and enjoys feeling superior to those around her. "When did you start planning your own escape route?" Henry asked, staring at me curiously. "From when?" "Probably around college. I started working and starting my own business. Most of my time was spent on studying and working. Alice wasn't happy about it. She wanted me to focus solely on her. But 10 years of hard study was tough. Without family, I had no backup plan. I couldn't afford any mistakes. Even if Alice was angry with me, I didn't compromise. Until my studio went bankrupt due to cutthroat competition. Facing thousands of broken perfume bottles, Alice comforted me. "Don't worry. Stop playing around. After graduation, just settle down and be my husband." It was then that I first saw the hidden excitement in her eyes. She seemed very pleased with my failure. At that moment, I realized her plan for me was like a caged bird. From then on, I stopped sharing my real thoughts with her and stopped telling her about my future plans. I became careful. Most of the time, I acted as she expected, being obedient and relying on her, playing the little boyfriend to satisfy her strong ego. From time to time, I helped her in her business. Even if she was unwilling, she had to admit there's no other Billy that would satisfy her as much. It's not me who can't live without her, it's her who can't live without me. "Billy, did you ever have feelings for her?" Henry asked quietly. I fell silent. The answer was clearly no. When she went out of her way to get me a bracelet from the temple for comfort and belonging, or when she fought with those who mocked me for being an orphan, insisting they apologize even if she was hurt, or when she renovated a room for me, telling me it would be my home, my safe haven forever. Back then, I truly and passionately loved her. But somewhere along the line, she started looking down on me, treating me as a mere plaything. Just like she said to Shirley in chats, she thought I was like a dandelion. So resilient, finding a way out even without family, even in tough times. She wanted so much to break my wings, to see me solely depend on her, going crazy for her love. Even through the screen, I could feel her excitement. She said, "Shirley, let's cage him up like a little bird and play with him." "Billy, what do you want?" Henry asked again. I paused and raised my glass. "What I want is simple. To have their families changed for my use. Alice's father passed away years ago. Her mother is used to being a wealthy lady and only knows how to enjoy life. Alice herself is arrogant and domineering. 3 years ago, with rapid information technology development, leading firms began facing attacks, including the long unchanged BS Group. BS Group managed to last till today thanks to my formulas. But now Alice is riddled with scandals. No one will bet on a company whose CEO is embroiled in public scandals. BS Group's collapse is only a matter of time. As for Shirley's company, it's merely an appendage. Not much effort needed from me." Henry laughed and clinked glasses with me. "Then let's toast to getting what we want." I smiled, absolutely. Seeing Alice again, she looked exhausted with deep-set eyes and a worn makeup, entirely disheartened. "Billy, are you done being mad?" She forced a smile. "If so, come home with me." Clearly, she's been through a tough time. No surprise. The day after I drank with Henry, I reclaimed my formulas through lawsuits. Without them, they couldn't develop new products. Originally agreed partnerships all terminated. BS Group started facing troubles. The empire began to crumble from within, starting with finance. Alice practiced favoritism, and though her appointees were efficient, they loved skimping on little things. Once the finance department blew up, BS Group's issues kept piling on. Its reputation in the industry plummeted, and many directors strategically withdrew. Just like I predicted, Alice wasn't capable enough to save the day. With that in mind, I gave her a mocking smile. Go back and suffer with you? You're dreaming. Alice's dark eyes flickered with hesitation. Billy, don't talk to me like that. She said, I know I made mistakes. I don't expect immediate forgiveness, but at least give me a chance to make it up. I stayed silent for a long time, saying nothing. She snapped, Billy, I was wrong, but you weren't hurt, right? Besides, don't forget, my family took care of you for 16 years. Alice shouted at me, voice hoarse and terrifying, like a dying beast. I calmly looked at her. I never forgot those 16 years, and I'm always grateful. But you also shouldn't forget that after graduation, most of the BS Group's orders were secured by me. I looked at her. I wasn't just taking. Alice's face changed. The grip on my arm suddenly tightened. After a moment of silence, she started to speak, her voice carrying a hint of pleading. Help save the company, Billy. I stared at her with a blank expression. Can't, I said. Alice's anger flared up, but she held it back. Billy, we've had 16 years together. Can't you stop being so cruel? Cruel? I stopped for a couple of seconds, shook my head with a smile. Alice, if I had no ability to fight back and became just a caged bird dependent on you, have you thought about where that would leave me? She looked at me, puzzled. What do you mean? I met her eyes, speaking each word coldly and clearly. If I really turned into a bird with no independent thought, entirely reliant on you, my end would just be you kicking me aside when you're bored of me. By then, after being caged for too long, I would already be incapable of working. I'd end up like a madman, desperately begging for your love. Alice looked at me, her lips trembling uncontrollably. I wouldn't do that to you, Billy. I love you so much, and you know that, don't you? You don't even believe what you're saying right now, do you? I couldn't help but laugh coldly. If you loved me, you wouldn't keep it to yourself, you wouldn't have allowed Shirley to get close to me, and you wouldn't have had any intention to hurt me. I pulled my hand away from hers, speaking firmly. Your love is cheap and disgusting. I don't want it or need it. Alice went pale, standing there, stunned. The dark sky suddenly began to rain, the drops bending her spine. After a moment of silence, Alice raised a hand to cover her eyes. Billy, I was wrong. I truly regret it. Her voice was hoarse and frightening. Too bad. Crocodile tears only make people laugh. I said nothing, just turned around and headed home. Henry was waiting for me there. He had been sitting on the window ledge, wrapped in a little blanket, looking out. When he heard the door open, he ran over to me. His little face was all scrunched up, worried as he urged me. Billy, Alice is just playing the victim. Don't fall for it or go soft. Amused, I tapped his forehead lightly. I won't fall for it or go soft, I said, handing him a bank card. You've always wanted to study design. I've contacted a top school abroad for you. Pack your things, go study, and when you're finished, come work with me at the company. His smile froze at his lips. After a while, his eyes started to water. Why are you being so good to me? Because we're friends, and I see a future in you. I want to invest in you and fight alongside you. Once I finished speaking, he burst into tears, crashing into me with gratitude. Thank you, Billy. Meeting you is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I promise I won't let you down. I chuckled, patting his back gently. Good luck. I'll be waiting for you to come back. The day Henry left, it was also a rainy day. Returning from the airport, I saw Alice again. She stood like a statue outside my building. As soon as she saw me, she tried to smile. I've tried, Billy, she said. I looked at her confused. Wiping tears from her face, she continued, I tried not to contact you, but it was too painful. I couldn't do it. As she spoke, she began to choke up, her voice filled with obvious pain. Billy, I really love you. I acted that way before because you're so outstanding. Whether it's in school or at work, you can balance everything effortlessly. More and more people started liking you, and I felt insecure. But you wouldn't make a single sacrifice for me, not even when I promised to marry you right after graduation and make you my rightful husband, ensuring you want for nothing. The rain fell harder, blending with her voice, giving everything an unexplainable sadness. She sobbed aloud. No matter whether I begged or got angry, you wouldn't compromise for me. I was so afraid of losing you, I ended up wanting to destroy you so you'd have to depend on me. She gave a bitter smile with an expression of deepest sorrow. Billy, can't you give me another chance? I sighed, ignoring the hope in her eyes, and asked, calm and cold, would you give a chance to someone you don't love? Her eyes dimmed instantly. No matter how much I try to make up for it, you'll never forgive me, right? I didn't hesitate at all. Yeah, I really don't have any feelings for you anymore. As soon as I said that, I turned and walked away. I hadn't taken 2 steps before I heard her voice behind me, crying, saying she can't give up on me. I didn't think much of it. I had no idea she'd stand outside the whole night. No matter how hard it rained, she didn't move an inch. I watched her quietly from upstairs. I waited a minute, then another, until half an hour passed, and I felt nothing. I knew I had truly moved on. So I drew the curtains and went to bed. The next morning, when I left the house, I found Alice curled up at my door, her face unusually flushed. She kept mumbling my name. I felt a bit annoyed. After hesitating for a moment, I called an ambulance to take her to the hospital. Then I called Shirley, asking her to go to the hospital and stay with Alice. Just as I hung up, Alice woke up. She looked at me with a faint smile. Billy, you still care about me, right? She asked with a bitter smile and a hint of stubbornness. If you don't love me anymore, why save me? Without you, I'd rather die. The machines in the room beeped rhythmically. The breeze after the rain was sharp and fresh. I pulled my coat tighter and replied sternly, I saved you only because I didn't want you causing trouble at my doorstep. Also, if you really want to die, don't do it at my door, it's bad luck. When I finished speaking, I could see the pain and regret flooding Alice's eyes. Her voice was full of evident despair and helplessness. Billy, can't you give me another chance? I looked at her indifferently and said, why do you think I'd forgive you after the pain you've caused me? What, does the world revolve around you? Just because you apologize, I should forgive you? The BS group got acquired, you lost everything, and you're not as capable as me. What makes you think I'd want anything to do with you? I was always gentle with her before. Now, with my sharp words, she seemed startled, just staring at me blankly. Stop bothering me. My dislike for you has reached the point where even if you died in front of me, I'd walk past you without hesitation. Alice's face went pale. The hope in her eyes vanished like a doused flame. After a moment, she forced a smile, tears spilling over. I'll disappear. I won't bother you anymore. Billy, I hope you find happiness. As I was about to leave the hospital, a low and hoarse voice called from behind. I turned around and saw Shirley standing there, looking at me. She wasn't doing well either. Her hair was a mess, and she looked incredibly worn out. Meeting my gaze, her eyes flickered for a few seconds before she managed a weak smile. Are you satisfied now? I didn't respond, just stood there quietly looking at her. She seemed much thinner, her collarbones protruding. Since I was a child, my family always told me to maintain a good relationship with Alice and not to anger her. So, I hid all my emotions, following her like a dog. Even though I was the one who first fell for you, I didn't dare to speak up. Even when she suggested ruining you, I could only agree through gritted teeth. Billy, I'm sorry. Shirley's voice began to tremble. I couldn't protect you, nor could I live my truth. The cold wind was somewhat mournful. I said nothing. At this point, we seemed to have nothing left to say. I turned to leave without a word. But Shirley called out to me. She was shaking slightly, her eyes red. Billy, I hope you find happiness. Don't forget me. Okay? After a brief silence, I spoke softly. From now on, you and Alice are just strangers to me, with no room for reconciliation. I just hope you both stay out of my sight from now on. Seeing you really ruins my mood. Hearing my words, Shirley seemed completely defeated. She squatted down, hugging her head tightly. Her hair tangled in her fingers as she sobbed uncontrollably. Without hesitation, I left the hospital. The sharp wind howled, stinging my face. After a while, I sighed, murmuring, "I will be happy. After all, everything I wanted, I now have. And that's enough."